Yo, what's up, boys? Today, I got a story time for you all about a spoiled kid who hates Mr. Beast for literally no reason, and he actually turned it into a huge argument at school. Now, I don't think it's too much of a hot take to say that Mr. Beast is the best creator on YouTube. I feel like that's a pretty common opinion, you know? But believe it or not, Mr. Beast actually does have his haters, and I figured you guys would really enjoy this one, so yeah, let's jump right into it. Okay, so this was sent in to me by a subscriber, and this whole story happened in the subscriber's little brother's class. Now, the subscriber's brother, who I'll call Johnny for this video, is in elementary school, specifically in 5th grade, and I would say that 4th, 5th grade is kind of the time period where, like, you're not super little or anything, but you're still not old enough where you don't really think too logically yet. Anyway, so one day in Johnny's class, lunch break was just starting, and I guess how it worked at his school was that everyone would stay in their classrooms during the first half of lunch break, and then after that, everyone would go outside for the second half, which is exactly how it worked when I was in elementary school. For the first half of lunch, Johnny brought his iPad to school to watch with his friends. Now, I don't know if rules have changed or what, but back when I was in elementary school, we were not allowed to bring in any devices or anything for lunch. No, we actually had to socialize with our classmates, which never really bothered me. I've always loved being social. I've always loved hanging out with my friends. But I guess that it's still kind of shocking, considering I finished elementary school only about like 5 years ago as of this point, that kids can now bring in their own devices for lunch. Like, I just find that kind of bizarre, you know? Anyway, so Johnny and his friends bring out the iPad and they open up YouTube to just, watch some videos. They end up clicking on Mr. Beast's Squid Game, which had just been released when the story takes place. Now, initially, they're just watching the video, just enjoying themselves, because Mr. Beast is a great YouTuber. I love watching his videos. I got notifications on, He's just an amazing creator and a great person. But as Johnny and his friends are partway through the video, one other kid in their class notices that they're watching Mr. Beast, and we're gonna name him Brandon for this video. Now, Brandon was one of those kids that was extremely annoying and liked to correct people on literally everything, even if he wasn't actually right. Basically, this kid was the nerd emoji. Actually, 1 plus 1 is not 11, it's 2. Like, bro, literally nobody asked your opinion, okay? Like, stop talking. Anyways, Brandon sees that Johnny and his friends are watching Mr. Beast, and instead of, just being cool and letting them watch the video, or even just watching it with them, he says to them, Mr. Beast's videos are fake, right? Why are you even watching them? Now, it's pretty obvious that Mr. Beast's videos are not fake, right? Like, if they were fake, someone would have exposed him by now, considering the amount of people who've competed on his channel. And on top of that, everyone in the videos just seem completely genuine and like they're actually having fun instead of, just acting off a script or something. Anyways, even though he's only like 10, Johnny knows that Mr. Beast's videos are not fake, but instead of trying to, start an argument, he says to Brandon, "Look, dude, I really don't care if they're fake or not. They're fun to watch, so could you please just leave us alone and let us get back to watching the video?" And I feel like it's kind of the right way to go about things in this situation. Not trying to start an argument, but still trying to get rid of them. However, Brandon doesn't really like the fact that they won't turn off the Mr. Beast video. He doesn't like that at all, and he lets that be known by saying, "No, turn it off. I hate Mr. Beast. Turn the video off." And he grabs the iPad from Johnny and his friends. Now, if you got any common sense, even if you're like 9 or 10, you would realize that you don't just grab other people's devices because you don't like what they're watching. Like, you just don't do that. Like, for example, I hate Halloween Ends. I saw it in October, I thought it was super disappointing, and I just really didn't like the movie. That being said, if I see someone watching Halloween Ends on their phone or their iPad, I'm not just gonna grab their device because I don't like the movie. At the end of the day, we all have different opinions, and we should not fight each other over them, because it's really not that big a deal. Anyways, so Brandon took Johnny's iPad out of nowhere, and Johnny gets up and yells at him to give him his iPad back, because again, you don't just take people's things like that. However, Johnny's yelling caught the teacher's attention, who starts walking over to them, and they feel like the moment your argument gets to the point where the teacher starts to get involved, it's a pretty stupid argument. Obviously, I'm not blaming Johnny at all for yelling at Brandon. Brandon took his iPad. That's complete fair game to yell at him. Okay, so the teacher walks over and asks Johnny, "Johnny, why are you yelling at Brandon? What's going on?" Now, what should happen is that Johnny explains that Brandon took his iPad, then Brandon gives it back, and then end a story. But what happens instead is that before Johnny even has a chance to speak, Brandon tells the teacher that Johnny is watching videos made by a terrible person and that he's supporting a scam, which is just not the case. The rest of the class is starting to pay attention at this point, as they're a little intrigued by what's going on. They hear that their classmate is supporting a terrible person, and they don't know it's Mr. Beast that's being talked about, so they're all curious. And the teacher is also curious who this quote-unquote terrible person is, so she asks Brandon Who's this terrible person he's watching? And Brandon responds with saying, a very bad YouTuber named MrBeast. Now, as soon as the rest of the class hears the name MrBeast, everyone just kind of gangs up on Brandon, defending him. Get this, including the teacher. I'm guessing the teacher's kids liked MrBeast, or maybe she even watched him herself, who knows? But the teacher was actually defending MrBeast too, which has got to be the best part of this whole story by far. MrBeast is probably the only YouTuber that a lot of parents know. I mean, he is the most subscribed YouTuber on YouTube, and he also has an amazing reputation, so it does make a lot of sense. So the kids and the teacher are saying how MrBeast is a great person, and that his videos are amazing, and going on about how he's doing Team Seas to save the ocean, which, I mean, yeah, Team Seas was a very, amazing fundraiser that MrBeast did to try and help the environment. He literally raised over $30 million for it. Fun fact, one of the first videos I ever made on this channel was a quick video spreading awareness for Team Seas. I'll put a link up to that on screen right now. Anyways, when the class starts talking about Team Seas, Brandon tells them that Team Seas is a scam and that MrBeast is just trying to get your money, which, I mean, no, Team Seas is definitely not a scam. With the insane amount of money donated, if it was a scam, which it wasn't, it would have been like all over the news. But I guess some people just hate MrBeast for no reason and make claims with literally zero evidence to back it up. So the class and Brandon are arguing, right? And Johnny says to the teacher, hey, can you give me back my iPad now? Because Brandon was still holding it. So the teacher tells Brandon that he has to give Johnny the iPad back. And Brandon realizes that he's going to get in trouble if he doesn't give Johnny back that advice. So he reluctantly gives it back to him. So no broken iPads in this video. If Brandon did actually break it, the title of the video would have been completely different. It probably would have been Spoiled Brat Destroys Classmate's iPad instead of Spoiled Brat Hates MrBeast. So shortly after Brandon gives the iPad back to Johnny, recess began and almost everyone went outside, including Johnny. But get this, Brandon had to stay inside during recess as punishment for taking the iPad, which is definitely deserved. Now, I know some of you are going to say, but he didn't even break it. He still took the iPad, okay? He deserves to stay inside for one recess. Also, I think the teacher may have just kept him in because he hated MrBeast for no reason. Maybe not, but I would like to think that's the reason. Anyways, thank you to the subscriber who sent this in. I really appreciate it. If you want to listen to more stories just like this, on screen right now is the story of a time I got followed in a snowstorm with footage.